What's up, guys? Here are my predictions for UFC on Fox happening in Orlando this weekend. And this is actually a really good card. A lot of good matchups, a lot of good names. We're going to start with Ben Saunders versus Jobin, which should be a very fun fight to watch, very interesting fight. And if I'm not mistaken, they both trained under Eddie Bravo, so that's pretty interesting as well. You got Ben Saunders, who's more of a Muay Thai style of a fighter, as well as having a really dangerous guard. On the feet, though, he does get caught sometimes, especially because of his stance and his willingness to always stay up straight. He's excellent in the clinch, excellent using his length, very strong kicking techniques, go with the elbows, go with the knees. He's pretty average, I would say, in his movements and his footwork and everything like that. He likes to stand at a distance and just go back and forth with the opponent, where he usually has an advantage because of his length. But when it goes to the ground, he is very dangerous. He is so good at getting the omoplatas, very good at using that leg flexibility and dexterity, wrapping around the opponent, going for rubber guard, going for mission control, all that kind of stuff. Excellent gain submissions from there as well, and landing elbows from the bottom. He is one of the only guys that will do that. And then you got Jobin, who's more of a striker than anything, also kind of a Muay Thai fighter, although it's very different than Ben Saunders. He's much more fluid. He moves a lot more on the feet. He uses the footwork a lot more. He is much faster. I believe he's much more powerful as well, more athletic. He will commit a little bit too much at times, and you'll see him get caught for that. But the angles he takes on the feet for the kicks is excellent. He's hard to take down as well, and he's good off his back, good at getting off the ground as well. He does leave himself exposed at times too, especially with boxing when you close him in. But I could see Jobin's footwork being a deciding factor in this fight, able to move around Ben Saunders and catch him at these different angles. So I'm going to go with Jobin. I'm going to go by a second round knockout. I see him moving around him, using in and out movement, using that speed. And then we go to the main card, Mike Perry versus Max Griffin. This might be your fight of the night. You got both knockout artists, both strikers. Mike Perry, of course, striker. He throws pretty much everything on the feet, commits a lot. You know, he tries to knock out the opponent with everything he throws. He's kind of basic in his footwork. You know, it's not bad, it's not great, but his ability to close in on the opponent, and when he sees the opportunity, he's going to explode for the finish. His punches are devastating. He's great in the clinch. Excellent in the clinch. His ability to hand fight with the opponent, get the dominant position in there, land elbows over the top, over the guard, or even when the opponent's trying to get an upper hand in the hand fighting. He has a great chin, great heart. In his last fight, he didn't show the best cardio, and he's going up against Max Griffin, who is a different kind of striker. Kind of unorthodox on the feet as well. He'll switch stances on you. He has long punches. He is very dynamic, very explosive, big power as well. His power really comes from his speed. He'll throw knees if he sees the opening. If there's an opening, he's going to take it. And he throws caution into the wind and he goes for it, right? And you see him get caught for that. But he has heart. He has a chin. He has the ability to withstand the punishment and go back at the opponent, which is going to make it for an exciting fight. He has pretty good takedown defense as well. So my prediction for the fight, I'm going to go with Mike Perry, but I see this fight is much closer than people think. Max Griffin is very game. He's very explosive himself. I know Mike Perry has an amazing chin, but both these guys are going to look for that opportunity. I see Mike Perry being much better in the clinch if it goes there, better in the infighting. I think that's where the difference is going to be. When the gap closes more and more, I see Mike Perry having a bigger advantage every time. Able to catch Max Griffin on the inside, rip up some uppercuts or elbows over the top or hooks over the top, and I see him knocking out Max Griffin probably in the second round. And then we go to OSP versus Ali Abdel Latifi. This is an interesting fight, and actually a pretty important fight for the division because there's nothing really happening in the division. You got OSP, who is pretty well-rounded, although very unorthodox, unpredictable. His striking is looking better. He's able to mask in some high kicks like you saw with Corey Anderson. He's able to do it behind his punches. He throws haymakers a little bit too much, though. Leaves an opening down the middle. Those straighter punches, those inside punches are going to beat those looping hooks every time, and especially if it's against a shorter fighter like Latifi. He drops everything he throws. His defense isn't the best. He's more of an offensive fighter everywhere, even on the ground. When you get him on the back foot, that's when you start to see OSP not showcasing the best of what he can do. He has heart. He's able to go 5 rounds with guys like John Jones, even being exhausted. His takedown defense is really good, and if you get him on his back, he's a handful off his back, able to transition and reverse on top easily, able to get the Von Flue choke and stuff like that. He is very unorthodox in submission attempts as well. He'll go for many different kind of things, many different weird angles. And you got Ali Latifi, who is more orthodox in everything. He's very explosive, very athletic, a bit short for the division. You see the hindrance, especially with Ryan Bader and Gegard Mousasi and other guys like that, even though Gegard went to middleweight. Shows how short of a reach Ali Latifi has, especially for these guys. But he's been making up for that, using that explosiveness, using that in and out movement taking more of a sideways wide stance for his overhands. He throws some hook kicks out there, and that really helps with his explosive takedowns, his double legs and single legs, his high crotches. His wrestling might be a deciding factor in this fight, especially if he can get OSP on his back and control him instead of trying to risk too much. Staying in his guard, pass into half guard, or side control, stay there and keep that position, land some ground and pound as well. So my prediction for the fight, this is a very tough one to call. This might be the toughest fight to call on the whole card. I'm going to go with OSP. Now, I could be completely wrong. I can easily see Ali Latifi knocking OSP out with that blitz, with that really quick in movement. But for some reason, I see OSP catching him as he comes in because Ali Latifi is a bit defenseless at times when he moves in like that. I could see OSP catching him with an uppercut as he fades away. He's going to have a big reach advantage to do that. He has the knees as well. He has the high kicks as Latifi stays on the outside like he likes to do. And taking down OSP is going to be tough. I'm going to go with OSP. I'm going to go by a 3rd round TKO. And then we go to Jessica Andrade versus Tecia Torres, the co-main event. This is a pretty good fight. Very important for the division. I think the winner of this is going to get the title shot. You got Jessica Andrade, who's a powerhouse. Not very technical, but just powers through everything. She's a juggernaut. Big power in everything. She does a lot of hooks and haymakers, which overwhelm the opponent because of her output and her cardio. And it's very strange how she has some of the best cardio in the division, and she has such high output. She has one of the highest output stats in the UFC period, and she is able to go just as hard in the 1st round as she is in like the 4th and 5th round, which is crazy. She leaves herself exposed when she throws those hooks, and she doesn't have the greatest footwork, which gives the opponent angles on her, but her ability to take shots is unlike anyone else in this division. She never backs down. Her pressure is relentless. Always going forward no matter what, and that overwhelms the opponent. And then once she gets the opponent to the cage and closes that distance with the hooks, she goes for the high crotch every single time. High crotch, pick up, slam, get into side control usually, or half guard, control from there, land some ground and pound. If they get up, she's going for it again. It's very discouraging to fight someone like Andrade. But the thing about Tecia Torres is Tecia has very good footwork, and she will be able to get away from Andrade in these situations like people like Claudia Gadelha could not do. Tecia Torres is more of a karate fighter than anything. Now she has developed a really good BJJ game. Her ability to move in and out and all kind of angles, use the side kicks to back the opponent up. She has very powerful kicks, able to go to the head with the side kicks. Her combinations are like 7 strike combinations. Ends them with a kick usually. I think that's where she got her nickname as well, because when she commits with these combinations on the opponent, it's literally like a tornado. Just wild strikes getting thrown everywhere, some spinning techniques in there. It's crazy. I don't think she's going to be that hard to take down for Jessica Andrade, but generally, Tecia Torres has very good takedown defense. She is also threatening off her back, but my prediction for the fight, I'm going to go with Jessica Andrade. I don't think this is the best fight for Tecia Torres stylistically, because Jessica Andrade is by far the strongest fighter in this division, and she can trump a lot of skill because of that. She gets those high crotches, she gets those single legs. It's very hard for anybody to really stop that. And Tecia Torres being even smaller than Jessica Andrade, which is very rare, it's going to hinder some of her abilities as well in there. Now, the only thing I see going for Tecia Torres is that distance, being able to move in and out, angles all the time. But it's very hard to do that against Andrade when Andrade doesn't back up to you. When she does that to people, they back up to the cage and give her all this space to move back. Jessica Andrade is going to meet her. And if she closes the distance with those combinations, those short punch combinations, she's going right into Jessica Andrade's game. And I don't see Tecia Torres having much success under Jessica Andrade. So I'm going to go with Andrade. I'm going to go by a decision. And then we go to the main event. Josh Emmett versus Jeremy Stephens. A very important fight for the featherweight division. The winner of this is 1 fight away from a title shot, I believe, as Frank Yeager and Brian Ortega has to happen. You got Josh Emmett, who's more of a wrestler than anything. He's developing this boxing game like you saw in the Ricardo Lamas fight and some of his previous fights. He has big power. He's finding the form in his striking to utilize all that power. He's very reminiscent to Uriah Faber and Chad Mendes in a way, where everything's explosion. It's not too many combinations. Everything is committed, right? And nothing is fluid. Everything is just very static explosions. Fast footwork, but not striding. He's not moving around the cage a whole lot. But it's a lot of very quick steps, very quick angles to find an opening for takedowns or the overhand right or some kind of hook. That could get a little bit predictable, especially with more skilled technical strikers. But the thing about Josh Emmett is he has those very powerful takedowns that really worry the opponent because he's very strong on top. He is a grinding wrestler, very strong, past the guard really easily, keep those positions. He has very devastating ground and pound. He could catch that rear naked choke like the Team Alpha Male guys are really good at. They practice those guillotines, they practice those rear naked chokes beyond end. Those are going to be very threatening against a guy like Jeremy Stephens if he gets Stephens down. Now, we don't know how his cardio is going to be in the 4th and 5th round and how he deals with pressure, right? We haven't really seen Josh Emmett get pressured heavily like Jeremy Stephens will do. Now, Jeremy Stephens is a powerhouse. He is almost like the Dan Henderson of this division, but much more technical. Very powerful, one of the strongest and probably the most powerful strikers in the division. His chin is insane. His heart is unquestionable. He has cardio. He's able to go just as hard in the first round like he will in the third round, which tells me that his cardio for 5 rounds is going to be pretty good. He swings wildly at times, swings from the bleachers, although he doesn't like to waste energy too much. He won't just force anything out there. He will look for his opportunity off of his pressure. He is good at slipping punches at times, and the threat of those haymakers, of those hooks, of those uppercuts, it gets the opponent always backstepping because they are looking for their opportunity to take him down under those shots or land shots on the inside and move away immediately. So this stylistic matchup, I think it's going to be pretty tough for a guy like Josh Emmett if he cannot land the shots on the inside and move out quickly. Jeremy Stephens also has amazing takedown defense. And what's better than that is his ability to get up off the ground. You saw that in the Max Holloway fight. You saw that in the Dennis Bermudez fight. He's always dangerous at every angle, at every position in the cage. And he is really good at catching opponent when they try to take those angles on him. When he pressures you to the cage, your movement to get away from the cage and Stephens is so limited. And he is so good at gauging that. He's so good at timing where you're going to move, and he usually catches the opponent because of that. So my prediction for the fight, it's a tough fight to call, but I'm going to go with Josh Emmett. I think Josh Emmett has more tools in there, and his ability to land shots on the inside. He doesn't throw too many wide shots like Jeremy Stephens does, and he has a big speed advantage as well. I think his ability to get on the inside of the punches and then go right under for the double leg or the single leg. Take Stephens down and repeatedly do that, control the fight, and I think he's going by a... See, if this was a 3-round fight, I am way more confident picking Josh Emmett, but it's 5 rounds. I don't know where his cardio is going to be at, so that's going to be pretty tough. So I'll still go with Josh Emmett. I'm going to go by a decision, but I do see him having a lot of trouble in the 4th and 5th rounds. I think in the first 3, I think he's going to control Stephens, land those shots on the inside, if not TKO him off that, which is going to be pretty tough. Keep the takedowns going from that. So those are my predictions, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed my content, make sure to subscribe. I'm more than 50% done with my next video. It's going to be about the top prospects in every division for the rest of 2018. You know, the fighters to look out for the rest of the year. I'm putting a lot of effort into that one, so that one should be out by tomorrow. And then hopefully, maybe, not guaranteeing, but I might have my best female fighters of all time coming out on Saturday. If not, Saturday is going to come out early next week, so be on the lookout for that as well. And I'm going to have my podcast coming out on Tuesday, so I'm going to leave a comment below titled questions for podcast or something like that, so just reply to questions under there. Questions with the most likes get read first, and Twitter questions get read before YouTube questions. If you want to tweet me, just hashtag MMA meeting, and I'll read those first. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.